This content is not suitable for persons under 13 years of age. Hello and welcome back again, Bots and Bits fans. Today we are taking a look at the Valkyrie Factory. Hang on. The Valkyrie Factory VF1J Max, the blue one. He bonked an alien. Alrighty, so crack a can of your favourite 21st century poison and let's take a look. There it is out of the box, and it's not particularly interesting. Now, I bought this guy from the good fellas over at ShowZstore.com. They also have the red Miriam available. I didn't buy it simply because I couldn't afford both. I received a little bit of backlash and criticism, some polite, some not so polite.
No, go away!
Robotech, like Transformers, has a very special place in my heart. I used to watch it every morning on Agro's Cartoon Connection. So when I see anything Macross related, it just feels really wrong to me. So just relax.
Are you ready for your internal?
Now let's get it all out of the foam and take a look. So there's all the pieces all out, and my god, look how many accessories you get. Just quickly, this looks amazing. Straight out of the box, I'm really impressed. All the colours, the plastic quality, the tampo detail, everything just looks... It just looks perfect to me. At first glance, anyway. So first up, we get 4 sets of these standard looking missiles. Great plastic quality, paint detail seems pretty good as well. Then we get these missiles. Now, am I told right? These are from the movie Do You Remember Love? These look great. Some cool tampo detail on the side. The black is all nicely done. And that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if they're detached. Do they detach? Yeah, they detach. So we get 2 sets of these lots, and then we get a couple of singles. We also get these giant missile pods. A couple of loose bits in there. I think it's just these plastic tips. These aren't done as great. I got some couple of like pretty sharp sprue marks just on the side there. Have a bit of glue or something down the bottom here, but you know, they're alright. They're just grey missile pods. Who really cares? You get 4 of them anyway. Now when it comes to attaching the missile pods, I did have a little bit of trouble. These ones go on just fine. Give them a little bit of a twist, and they click on, and they lock in place and hold. They hold just fine. These ones, a little bit tighter, a little bit more fiddly to get on, but they do click on quite well. Nice and stiff. When it comes to these black pods, the peg is just, it's too big for the peg hole. It just does not want to go in. No matter, I'm pushing on it quite hard, just doesn't want to go in. And it doesn't matter, come here. It won't even go into the peg hole far enough for the little teeth to get around the edge and hold it in place. You also get a bunch of brackets. One of these is the flight stand adapter in robot mode, and the other one is for jet mode. I don't have a flight stand, so I can't demonstrate that, sorry. And then we get this bracket, which is for attaching a cockpit to the arm of the bot mode or guardian mode, whichever one you want to do it in. We also get the open cockpit seat, which looks fantastic. A little bit of paint here just on the seat material, and that is pretty much it. We also get a rear neck cover for bot mode. We get a variety of static hands. This one looks like the shooting one, but you can also just use it for pointing. Open hand and a couple of fists. These are a little bit different to the previous one. The previous one had very sharp, stylized hands, like much more robotic hands. These are very cartoonish. These are almost more like gloves. We also obviously get the UN Spacey Blaster. This looks fantastic. I'm really digging this. Let me just pull this handle out. Come out. Come out. This handle is meant to come out and then slide down, but I can't. It's very... Look, I'm going to figure that out later. For the meantime, though, tampo work on this looks fantastic. There's some little... What does that say? I think that says armament. Bit of green clear plastic there. We have the writing one way for bot mode, and then another way for when you stow it underneath in jet mode. Now, the exciting bit, his strike parts. And we get these sections here, which click onto his arms. Great details on that. Very vibrant red. Slightly outside of the lines there, but it's so minor. Some tampo detail there. A little bit of black. It's the same on the other side. No real sprue marks. No chips, no nothing. It's as you would expect. We also get these green armor pieces and this leg armament, which all attach together. These armor pieces fit in all 3 modes, and it looks pretty good in all of them. One cool thing you can do with these is this top cover is removable, and you can just see all the machinery underneath. Now the detailing of this machinery isn't too bad. A lot of it is just flat silver sort of panels and that, but it is a nice little touch. A bit of a nasty sprue mark down the bottom there, but apart from that, it is really tidy. And then lastly, one of the cooler accessories that we get is these missile pods and booster rockets. All of these little tampo details, these little serial numbers and those sorts of things look fantastic. A bit more down here. The booster rockets, they look great. They just look great. And they not rotate, sorry. And they're adjustable, quite stiff. These covers do come off to expose the missiles. These engine covers come off as well, but they're a little bit tricky. I'm having quite a bit, so I can like get the front off, but these little clips, are you seeing these? I'm having a real hard time getting them to undo. I'm giving it a good squeeze. They just don't want to come out, and I'm a little bit worried. Let me see if I can find something to pry this open with. That sounded like a glue crack, didn't it? Alright, come off, come on. Did I break anything? It doesn't look like it. Doesn't. Oh my god, those bastards. I'm not doing this one. There's the engine detail, and it looks pretty good. I do have some chipping in these sort of white balls in the front, both sides. And I have just scraped the plastic a little bit where I was using that dental tool. But the silver looks great. These little gold accents look great, and I think it's a very cool detail. I just wish I didn't have to go at it with a piece of metal to get all that off. But yeah, there it is, so enjoy. I nearly forgot one last accessory, and that is little Maxi. He's not too bad. His helmet looks a little bit softer than the previous review, and some of the blue looks like it could have had another coat, like on his helmet and that. There's not really much going on color-wise with him, but yeah, whatever. Inside the cockpit, it looks alright with him in it. Now, speaking of inside the cockpit, look at those cockpit details. I can't tell if that's a sticker or they've tampoed that on or something. Very cool, very cool. I'm pretty impressed with that. Anyway, let's just chuck Maxi back in. He sits in there nice and firm. There isn't too much in the way of rattle, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so the jet mode gimmicks are the wings will fold back, the wings will come forward. Now, I'm not going to say that they're loose, so if I put them like that, they're not floppy at all, but when I move them, I'm really not getting much resistance. The other gimmicks, of course, we have his robot head with his ear lasers, and we have the landing gear. I hate these hinges. They just don't seem to like ever line up properly, and they're always just a little bit funny to get out. Now, this wheel is painted die cast with a rubber tire on it. It's not too bad. And then we have the wheels in the back. They open that way, and then the other one opens the other way. Constantly getting these stuck. Just because the hinges, I don't like them. But it's a minor complaint, and I'm never going to use this gimmick really anyway, I don't think. Now, these wheel arms, they're painted die cast. I've done this once or twice, and they're already starting to chip a little bit. And I've got some flaking on this rubber tire here, but that's just, what are you going to do? Okay, so I nearly forgot, with the landing gear out, you can also flick these lights down. I guess it's just a bit of extra detail that you may or may not care about. I don't really care about that. And the final gimmick in jet mode is these turbine covers can be removed. They're difficult to remove, and they're difficult to get back on. They're very tight, so I'm just going to use this little guy to try and, because there's a tab right here. There we go. And there it is. Turbine detail. I'm not going to bother doing the other one. I don't really care for it, but it's there if you want it. Now, the best way I've found to get these back in is to slot it in this side here first. So I'm going to put the corner in and the side bit in, and now I'm just going to push that tab through. There we go. So I think that's pretty much it for the gimmicks in jet mode on its own. Let's take a look at some of the tampo details on it. Check that out. That is some amazing detail. I am really, really happy with that. The blue plastic looks great. I'm not seeing any sprue marks, not seeing any stress marks, nothing like that at all. The white paint on top of the blue, It's not my favourite part of this. You can see that you got the blue coming through the white, so it's sort of like a very light teal colour. There's like a mark here and a mark here where there's like a mould line, and it hasn't quite filled in the gap. Probably my only complaint so far. The paint down here on the sides of the arms is done pretty well. Little tiny spot there, some clear plastic there and there, which is done really well. A little bit of yellow detail there, some red there. I don't think there are many other details to show off. Got a little bit of yellow in the side here with the UN Spacey logo, and these fins. Fins look fantastic, a little bit of blue bleeding there, but apart from that, yeah, only one thing I'm really worried about with the paint, so that's a good thing. Now to attach the strike parts, we're going to grab a green bit like this and a blue bit like this and find one where the big clip and the little clip match up. Untab the leg, bringing it down at this hinge and then bending the knee. Just like that. Clicked on pretty easily, and then this hole is going to tab in to there. And there's the angle that you'll now have the leg at. Let's quickly do the other side. Done. And then finally for the strike pack, we're going to slot this in here. This grey section is going to go just above these arms here, under there. Alright, so we're going to just slot it in, and then these sections here are going to tab into the little backpack there, and you can fold that down if you want. And that's it. All done. Alright, so that's enough for jet mode. Let's move on to Guardian mode. Alright, there he is in Guardian mode, and details wise it's more of the same. Something I have noticed with this compared to my last one is the shoulders. So these shoulder pads, very, very loose, and I know that they shimmy up. Thank you very much, Macross World. But they don't really want to stay up on this one, so like they're just really, really loose, these shoulder pads. On the Roy, ball sockets in the shoulders were, hang on, come on. The ball sockets on the shoulders were really bad, listen. Really bad. Don't trust those ball sockets at all. But when it comes to their new release, this one, back down again, these ball sockets, much better. Much, much better. Not too loose, not too tight. They are just right. Further down then we have the bicep swivel, which is nice and tight, and we have the double jointed elbow. We have a hinge here, and I'm pretty sure that's a ratchet. Nice and stiff, plenty of range. Comes to the hand, we have these little tiny hands again for transformation. Hinge is nice and stiff, the fingers are nice and stiff, and it's a push plug, put it in, so the rotation was nice and stiff as well. Now we can swap out the static hands, put this sort of cartoony fist on there, which I'm not liking these cartoon hands. They just look too much like Mickey Mouse gloves. Stability in this mode is pretty good. When it comes down to the legs, upper knee swivel is, oh my God, is nice and stiff. I'm quite happy with that. These knee ratchets, listen to that, super stiff. I am absolutely digging that. And then down to the feet, these are a little bit funny because stability just depends a lot on how you separate the toes and where you position the toes. So everything is really, really stiff. Much stiffer than the Roy previous review that I've done, that's for sure. Alrighty, so let's transform this guy up, move out of the way, into the Battloid, whatever. Just to make things easier, I'm just going to take this off. You probably can transform it with this still attached, but it's getting in the way a little bit. So let's see how we go. Alright, so from Guardian mode, Right, so there he is in Battloid mode or Batroid mode, whichever you prefer. He's quite back heavy with that booster pack on. But anyway, before we get into all the details about him, let's do some size comparisons. Here he is with Hot Toys Predator, Masterpiece Megatron, and the Valkyrie Factory Roy Fokker, or Fokker. So when it comes to Batroid mode or Battloid mode, I'm absolutely in love with how this guy looks. This is fantastic. It looks amazing. The attention to detail on this set, especially in bot mode, just blow me away. All the little tampo details just seem perfect. I'm not seeing any chips, I'm not seeing any smudges or any missing tampos or any damage or anything whatsoever. Especially all the little nose steps on the wings and on the back. They're just so clear and so easy to read. Everything just looks really crisp and sharp. So in Batroid mode, when it comes to articulation and stability, I am finding that the strike pack is making him quite back heavy. You can see I've got the feet organised like that. Maybe that's not how they're meant to go. I'm pretty sure that it looks pretty flat and straight. The strike pack is pulling him backwards quite a bit. As I manipulate it a little bit more and change his pose a bit, the hips it does just go straight back. Yeah, which is a little bit frustrating. You can position him in more of a hero pose, so I can bring this heel back a bit and have him thrusting his crotch forward a little bit more like that. Have him posed heroically. That's quite stable, but the straight up and down, yeah, a little bit unstable. But anyway, the head is on a push plug, and the head is removable, just twists off like so, and we have the full 360 because of that. The push plug that the head is attached to can go back that far and forward that far. The ears are rotatable. And then when it comes to the shoulders, we have ball socket shoulders on these butterfly hinges, which are for transformation mostly. So they're quite loose. Quite loose. They don't flop about, really. But still quite loose. The ball sockets themselves squeak quite a bit. But I'm not really feeling the same resistance that I was getting when it came to the Roy Fokker. The shoulder pads, they're meant to sit up somehow, but there's just, like we've discussed before, they're just so loose they don't sit anywhere except all the way down. Anyway, further down we have the hips. Now, I'm not a fan of how these hips work. I'm really not. They're tight enough, but still, as soon as I pick it up and start moving it, he does flop right backwards. Standing up, the hips aren't so much of an issue, but they could be tighter. Because it's ball socket, you do have, up at the hip, you do have it in and out. You've got a whole huge range, actually. But if you, get back on there. But if you wanted to bypass that altogether, you can just sort of wedge it in that flap like we mentioned before. And then you do have a hinge here, a ratchet hinge, which gets you out to there like that. Really sturdy, really strong. That come off. Bloody hell. That's if you wanted to bypass that altogether. We also have a knee swivel, which is nice and tight and extends slightly. Then we know we get the reverse ratchet. Oh, geez, that just keeps coming off. That is not as tight as I would expect. This bit, not the ratchet. The ratchet is very tight, very sturdy. Focus. Very happy with those leg ratchets for sure. They feel like very good quality. And again, I'm just going to leave that off. That's becoming a real pain in the ass. Happy with all the leg mechanisms, just these ball sockets, I really wish they were tighter. Anyway, last detail is down at the feet. Now, we know all about these feet. I found this is the best position, not completely flat, more of a straight heel. Here's doing a little bit of a Michael Jackson Thriller, but I found it's the most stable, especially with the strike parts on. Anyway, let's take these strike parts off and have a look at the bot himself. So there he is without the strike parts, and now that is much more easier to manage. He is a lot more stable now. I'm feeling much happier. His feet are a little bit wider. He's standing completely straight. The strike parts are a cool accessory. They do bring a lot to the table, but I think this is probably how I'm going to keep him now. This is how I want to display him. I'm really, really liking it. Yeah, I think that looks really good. All I need now is a Rick Hunter Veritech with the correct head. I know Valkyrie Factory have done like a Hikaru version with the strike parts. That didn't really scratch my itch. I need one with the correct head, which I think was this one. Alright, so final thoughts wise, is it worth it and should you buy it? I'm going to say yeah, it is. I'm really happy with my purchase. I'm really happy with what it cost. You might not want strike parts, you might not need the strike parts, but it comes with them. That's why the price has increased. Plastic quality seems to be fantastic. I saw maybe 2-3 sprue marks over the whole set in total. All the tampo details are incredibly crisp, very, very sharp. They look fantastic. I've transformed it back and forth a couple of times and I haven't seen any sort of wearing or chipping or scratching. It's all come up really, really well. The one thing that came with the paint that I was a little bit worried about is sort of the thigh paint. Had a little bit of fuzziness, a little bit of wear already straight out of the box. Bit of the blue plastic color coming through that. I don't know how well that would hold up. Doesn't seem to have gotten any worse, but overall it's a great package. I'm really happy to have it. I'm so glad that I bought it from ShowZstore. I wish I had the funds available so I could buy the Miriam as well. Can't wait to see the Valkyrie Factory battle pods get released, and I can't wait to see what other variations of this one that they release. Hopefully a Rick Hunter. And that's it. Now, if you enjoyed this video and like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe to my channel. Remember to check out my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also the private Facebook group and my fantastic website, botsandbits.net, for all your bots and bitty news. And as always, guys, thank you very much for your time and thanks for watching.